Byju, Divya, welcome. Good to have you with us at the forum. So we're here to talk about EdTech and the future of education. Many people would say, look, the days of online learning, the EdTech boom are behind us because kids, thankfully, are back in school. So Divya, let me begin by asking you then, what is the future of Byju's, and is the future of Byju's in a physical classroom instead of the online space?
Okay, first maybe I want to say, what did online learning do for us, especially during the pandemic? And we think about it, if 100 years ago, a pandemic like this had happened, everything would have stopped, including learning. What online learning did is that it ensured that the 1.2 billion kids who were outside school or out of school because of school closures were able to continue learning. The biggest challenge for EdTech prior to the pandemic was awareness of how can online education be a part of mainstream education. Can it benefit it? Can it supplement it? And during the pandemic, it enabled students, all stakeholders in the ecosystem, and everybody literally moved online overnight. They say that there are decades when nothing happens and weeks when decades happen. And this context is important to understand what online learning did for education, especially during the pandemic. It played a pivotal role and helped all of us understand that if not the only way to learn, it is one of the mainstream ways to learn. So the future of education, and coming to your question, I would say is not entirely online, it's not entirely offline. The answer is that it's best in the blended or the hybrid format of learning. And what we've also come to understand, because we, over the last 17, 18 years of our existence, have also pivoted the way in which we deliver learning to students across the world. Today, we have 150 million students who learn across our various platforms and services, all the way from online learning. We started completely offline. We pivoted to completely online. And today, including online learning, we have our programs in hybrid learning formats. So we've come to understand that it's the student who needs to have the choice of how they learn, where they learn, how fast, how much they want to learn. So online learning is a part of mainstream learning. It's not the only component, but there are some aspects of learning which are best consumed online, some offline. And you spoke about what about EdTech post-pandemic? I'll just put it in terms of numbers. Global EdTech market is growing at 16.5%. The Indian EdTech market is growing at 40%.
Wow, what a difference. Yeah.
So if this is something which is growing exponentially, maybe relative to what happened during the pandemic, it's stabilizing, but it is growing, and that's what's very important. So if anything, online learning, EdTech, I'll say transformative ways of learning is here to stay. And one sentence more on large language models and artificial intelligence. I read a Bloomberg report which said that finally tech has positively disrupted education. For the first time, we see how tech is enabling education. And the best example is large language models, and maybe we can go a little deeper in the later questions.
Byju, not many people know that you've actually been around for 18 years because you really, of course, all EdTech companies experienced a massive boom during the pandemic. Tell us about what your original mission was and what exactly a student can avail from Byju's.
We have always focused on how do we make sure that everything has changed in the last 10, 15 years. How we consume content, how we consume entertainment, it's changed. But we have not made it easy for students. Our classrooms have not changed for 100 years, 100 plus years, right? For the first time, we have an opportunity to make it easy for students. How do we make learning engaging as well as effective? I normally say in one sentence, how do we put the right amount of chocolate coating before we take them through the broccoli? That's where the focus has been on creating movie-like videos, game-like interactions, which gets their attention before we actually create positive outcomes. Now, the best way to do that is the technology allows us to personalize the way students learn. As she was mentioning, pace of learning, size of learning, style of learning. There's a lot of scope for improvement. These are very early days in terms of what technology can do, both inside classrooms and at home.
Yeah.
So today, on a monthly basis, we have 150 million plus active students on our platforms, making us, now I can say the largest education platform, but that's just relative success. There's a long way to go in terms of what we can do and what technology can do.
So we're very happy you're talking to us here in Doha, but I also think maybe we're not the only reason you're here in Doha. A lot of your investors are here, and you're fundraising. How's that going?
QIA is an investor and one of the key investors. But here I'm here just for this session. The fund now, there is obviously, it's a very challenging macro environment in terms of fundraising for any company.
Yeah.
We just closed one round, and something big is just about to happen. So
what's about to happen?
I can't disclose.
A little bit, hint? No.
The key is, it's people like focus too much on the valuation and the numbers, but the real thing is about this is such a grossly underinvested, neglected sector. Like how many large education companies you can even think of, right? It's every country needs a platform like Byju's. Like we have made a good start in India. In India itself, we are at there's a long way to go before I'll say we are making a big impact. But every country needs a platform like ours. So this requires, because at the end of the day, for countries like ours with large young population, it's very important that we are enabling them to learn, right? The best of the platforms like won't do spoon feeding. It'll make sure that students are enabled and they learn how to learn. That most important life skill of learning how to learn. Because otherwise, in this day and age, if you are not willing to, like 21st century illiterates are not the ones who can't like read and write. They are the ones who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. So it's very important that we make it easy for today's students. They have a lot of access. It's easy to make sure that everyone talks about the digital divide, but the only way you can solve the challenges in our system, right? This is one of those last sectors which technology will disrupt, and it's just about starting.
So here's a question I wanted to ask you. As an Indian startup, you brought in the largest amount of overseas capital into the Indian startup system. Over the last few months, there has been scrutiny on y'all by the Enforcement Directorate of India under the FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act. Are you at all worried about what message this is sending to investors who are looking to invest in the Indian startup system?
We just closed a round. So, India is one country which, and I quote the Bloomberg recession report itself, the recession probability report, a chance of 0% recession this year. So investors are betting big on education, on India, on Byju's. And like you said, we've been here for the last 18 years. And the fundamentals, the core, is extremely strong. The numbers we track are all about efficacy, outcomes, engagement. And all those numbers have helped us build products at scale with the right kind of quality. And if you ask me, the world has all its eyes on India, and for the right reasons. Because where we are going to be, say, India at 2047, India at 100, we're going to have 20% of the global workforce. We're going to have 21% of the world's middle class. And India with its diversity, we're going to be the world's youngest up to 2070. So all of these reasons are why overseas investors are betting big on India. And we've realized that the best thing we did was build in India. Because when you build in India, you build for 1/6 of humanity. You
but
understand how to
build. But the students are not just from India, right?
75% are from India, 25%.
And where the rest? 75% from India, and where do the rest typically log on from?
US is the second biggest market, and Middle East is the third biggest market. So in terms of, like, I will just finish by telling that people have always been bullish on Indians.
Yeah.
I think for the first time, they are also bullish on India.
Interesting. Let's talk about AI and tools like ChatGPT, for example. Now, let's take the case of the edtech company Chegg in the US. Now, its stock fell more than 40% because its CEO admitted that customer growth had been affected because students were turning to ChatGPT for homework help and not them. Are you at all concerned about how AI might eat into traditionally what is your space?
Not at all.
Why not?
And I'll speak as a teacher first. So both of us started as teachers.
Yes.
Technology has made me an even better teacher, right from the first time that we used it. And for me, the simple analogy is that as a blackboard initially was a canvas on which I could paint infinite possibilities, AI also is that kind of canvas where we can have limitless possibilities on how we can impart better education to students. Just to give you an example of what tech has done, over the last 2 years, we've been able to create 25,000 teaching jobs for women, teaching from their homes to the rest of the world. It would have been impossible without technology. And look at what it can do in terms of enhancing the quality. So, but I also say this with caution that what you say of technology, the opposite is also true. As long as you control it and it doesn't control you, it's fine. So it's safe in the hands of well-meaning teachers. It's safe in the hands of companies who want to create an impact on better learning outcomes for their students. And it's true for any kind of technology. So we have, in fact, over the last, we've always invested in innovation and growth, and tech has been a strong enabler for us right from the time that we first started using it to scale, because we wanted to go from thousands to millions. Technology has enabled us to do that with quality, right? So even over the last 1 year, when large language models have been in great use, we experimented with it, and we have bettered our products, including our learning app, to be able to guide students in a hyper-personalized manner. Today, it's able to remove mundane tasks and help us focus on working creatively and strategically. We've been able to, supposing you and I are going through the same chapter, just to put it in very simple words, I'm a teacher, you're able to follow a path which suits you the best, and I'm able to follow mine. And
so it's individualized. It allows you to be individualized.
Even more than ever before. So it's just making all our products more and more stronger.
But
and there is no scope for complacency here. We'll be worried about new technology disruptions only if you are taking a 3, 4, 5-year view. We are building this to last decades. We have disrupted our model multiple times. Every 5 year we were 100% offline in 2015. In a month, we moved 100% online. During COVID, we moved hybrid. So if we are not becoming complacent, if we are willing to disrupt ourselves, all these are not challenges, but opportunities.
But the very basis of ed tech, of online learning, of being able to use technology, the fundamental fact is you need Wi-Fi and you need technology. You need access to devices. Your main market is India. There are still large pockets of the country that don't have access to Wi-Fi, and many, many kids who don't have access to digital devices. Is it your responsibility, and what are you doing to bridge the digital divide?
A lot of people speak about the digital divide, but I'm a strong believer that the barriers of the physical world can be shattered by the power of technology if used the right way. So just to give you context, while both of us are very happy about what and proud of what we built at Byju's, we are even proud of what we've been able to build at Byju's Education for All, which is our social initiative, which is touching children in the deepest, most underserved parts of the country. So we have 5.5 million children who are learning from us from the deepest parts of the country for absolutely free. We have launched the product in multiple regional languages. This is the same content that the students, the other students, the paid students have access to. And we're able to do this because we hit the trilemma of cost, quality, and scale with one arrow. We were able to scale this at literally zero cost because the product was already created, and we were able to use technology to make it reach, identifying the right kids with the help of multiple NGOs and state governments. And we've seen amazing numbers. Half of the beneficiaries are girls. And you spoke about internet. The product runs at very low bandwidths. There are options to run it without the internet with just periodical syncing. So we've thought of all of that. Because there is no point in building something if it cannot be used. We have 300 million school-going kids in India. We have to create something where at least 75%, 80% of them can use and have access to. This is not just helping kids stay back in school, it's also enabling children to come back to school. Because the pandemic, as we know, it unfortunately led to a lot of, especially girls, falling out of school. So this is helping in so many different ways.
Divya, what does the classroom of the future look like? Let's think of 2050. What is a classroom going to look like?
We have 1.5 billion school-going children across the world. When we can have our choice of color, when we can have our choice of backpacks and pencils, why don't we have a choice of the way in which we need to learn? So the classroom of the future is one where every child can sit in the driver's seat of their learning journey, where they can learn as per their style, their speed, and their scale of learning.
Where teachers will play the a good teacher will always play the role of enabling students to learn. And then why I'm focusing on that word is that we have created a product which is all based on self-learning in a country obsessed with spoon feeding, where it's unfortunately learning driven by fear of exams and not love for learning. So the ideal classroom of tomorrow will have teachers who will play the role of a mentor or a monitor and someone who will motivate. And students will figure out their own ways of learning the subjects which they want to learn, will pursue that because access and there will be enough and more content for them. Because today also, the gap between how our curriculums have been changing and adapting to the changing requirements in the world, right? The jobs of tomorrow, a student who's entering school today, the jobs of tomorrow, they're not even defined. So how do you actually, the curriculums cannot cope up, and that with ChatGPT and the gap is widening, right? So it's very important that we make sure that students are becoming self-learners, because we all learn. Today we all learn because we want to learn, right? How do you bring that childlike curiosity back in students? This is the most important thing.
You have to answer me this question in one sentence because we're out of time. You are the son of teachers. You're a teacher yourself. You have taught in a stadium packed with 25,000 kids listening to you teach. What makes a great teacher?
I think I already answered that question. A great teacher won't teach. They'll actually show students on, rather than focusing on what to learn, they'll focus on how to learn. And making sure that you kind of show them the way rather than giving them the final answer.
So don't spoon feed them.
ChatGPT can disrupt students who wants to teach, can disrupt teachers who wants to cheat. But it can never replace teachers who are enabling students to learn. So a good teacher will, 50% is all about motivating them and making sure that they're becoming positive. The other 50% is about how do you kind of bring that childlike curiosity back in students. Because all of us are, when we learn something new, we get excited, right? Somewhere along the line, we lose that childlike curiosity.
Yes, indeed. Good note to leave it on about the curiosity. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.